Hey guys, it's Miss Adams again, and we're going to continue on with our introductions to function notation. So, for our learning targets of the day, our learning targets include I can write an equation as a function, I can evaluate a function given the input, and I can determine the input of a function based on the given output. So let's get into that a little bit. Let's look at function rules, okay? So a function rule is an algebraic equation that defines a function. It tells you what to do to the input, which is your x value, in order to get to the output, which is your y value. Hence, x is your independent variable and y is the dependent variable. So think about that a little bit. If x is your input, it's what you're putting in. It's your independent variable because that doesn't change. That is something that you are actually putting in. It is something that you are causing. But the y variable is dependent on that. It's what you're getting out of it. So whatever you're putting into your, remember our function machine, so whatever you're putting into this machine is going to be dependent on that x value. So let's go into that a little bit more. So let's look at some examples here. I've given you y equals 3x plus 2, y equals x squared plus 2x minus 5, and y equals negative 7x. If we look at these, we notice some characteristics that we've seen from Unit 1. So the first and third ones, those are both linear functions, and our second one, the middle one, is a quadratic function. But these are all in terms of y's and x's, and what we're going to learn today is that we have these function rules that even though this says y equals, it could have said f of x equals 3x plus 2. That means your function based on that input of x is equal to 3x plus 2. They're the same thing. And it doesn't matter if you use f, you could have used g. You could have said g of x equals x squared plus 2x minus 5. That means that function g in terms of x is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 5. So that means that your y value is going to now become your g of x. So whatever you put in as your x value is going to give you your g of x. And lastly, m of x equals negative 7x. It's the same thing as saying y equals negative 7x. So let's define some things with x and y, because you'll hear us use a lot of terms that relate to x and y. So let's look at some terms for x. You already know that your input is your x value, as well as your independent variable is going to be your x value. All right, so these are what you're putting into your function. And then come lesson 3.2, lesson 3.3, we're going to be starting to talk about the domain. So anytime you hear x, you're going to think of your domain. That is going to be your values for x's, okay, for that given function. And then we look at y. So we look at the terms for y. Well, for every input, there's going to be an output. So there's your term for y. That's your output. It's your dependent variable. It's dependent on your x variable or your x term. And then the list of y values is going to be known as your range. So it's the acceptable y values, all right, for a given function. All right, guys. Let's pause there for a minute. Going to let you guys get those notes down for a little bit, and we're going to start talking about function notation.